Anytime we have a relationship with somebody, there's a psychic bond that gets created between the two of you. And that's not a bad thing. It just means there's an open port of communication psychically and energetically with that person. But you need to be aware of that psychic bond because that is a constant active stream of communication that's going in the subconscious and in the spiritual sense. You could pick up on their energy. They could pick up on your energy. If they're feeling anxiety, you can feel that anxiety too, vice versa. People who have negative intentions can send you what we call like a psychic warfare. They can actually put negative intentions towards you and things will happen when you're open to that. So it's very important for you guys to understand that those psychic connections exist to all those people that mean something in your life, good and bad. Even those that you have really bad, treacherous dynamics with, and say family members you have treacherous relationships with, there's psychic connections that are established there. And so you want to make sure that you are closing down those connections or not allowing yourself to receive information from these connections. And you need to be aware that you're not sending anything as well. Because the more you send to someone, you're keeping that connection established too, which means that even if you're conscious of that, you're still kind of fighting the energy, you're fighting the information. So you have to psychically and consciously shut down those connections for those that are being psychic vampires, who are, sending you psychic warfare. Again, the psychic warfare energy is someone who has negative intentions towards you. Okay. And so by cutting communication and ceasing physical communication is the first way you start the psychic connection too, and the psychic bond in a sense. You break that bond. But you break that bond by realizing how that individual doesn't serve you any longer. You also have to make the realization and take the lesson that says, this person doesn't serve me any longer. They are a complete dichotomy to where I want to be and what I stand for. Okay. And so it's important for you to understand that perspective when it comes to your relationship, so you can actually pull away and disconnect and understand how they do not provide any value for you. And when you make that realization, guess what happens? You'll allow yourself to disconnect from them psychically and to not have any relevance to what they feel, what they think, what they're not thinking. That wouldn't matter to you. That's how you break that bond, by not allowing to have its power. Not considering the energy is a way you break that power. So a lot of people in relationships, they have someone they're dating, they're connected to, and the other person is not really giving them that much of attention, right? They're maybe not calling. And so the other person's feeling anxiety because they're feeling the other person is withholding energy from them. So they constantly feel anxiety. They don't know why. And there's a lot of people that will play mental games and manipulate the mind to where they're purposely, deliberately not reaching out to the person and withholding communication. And so the other person will start feeling that anxiety because they feel like they're being deprived. So we can pick up on all that. And so the question is, when you start feeling that energy, feeling those resonance from someone, is it worth sticking around? Is it really worth reading that energy all the time or even connecting with that? And that's why, excuse me, that's why you have to make the realization to say, this is not worth it. This energy feed is not satisfying me, or is it benefiting me? So I'm cutting it out. I'm cutting it. Because, a lot of times people say, oh, but maybe they'll change and, maybe they'll turn around. It's like, then you're just allowing that connection to be even more established. And by giving them benefit, by giving them that consideration, you're giving them energy, which is going to exhaust you, literally. Well, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this and all this consideration, you're just feeding them energy psychically. Then you're drained. Then you have more anxiety because you're giving your power away. That's the results of that. Nobody in this world is that important to suck you dry. People who love and care about you don't want to suck you dry. They want you to preserve your energy. So nobody is worth that amount of, exhausting your energy output. And like I said before, if people are doing so and wanting more from you, they don't care for you. They don't have your best interests at stake. So right now is a really good time to shut down these psychic connections. And, it sounds bigger than what it is. Oh, psychic connection. I'm not psychic. Can I do that? So it sounds more than what it is. It's just saying you have an energetic connection and a feed with somebody you want to sever and cut down. You'll never break away the connection to the experience because that's what allowed you to evolve. But the active line of communication you want to cut and sever because you don't need a constant energy feed going back and forth between all these different people. And a lot of you guys have subconscious connections to people of your past that you're still feeding and reading, which is why a lot of people from the past start showing up out of the blue because you have active connections still. Okay. So that could be very exhausting, very draining, and also inhibit you from experiencing better relationships. Because the subconscious thinks this is unresolved. It could potentially get resolved. So I'm keeping that on the back burner in a sense, thus eliminating you from all other possibilities when it comes to relationships. So you need to start looking at what psychic connections and bonds do I still have active in my life with certain people. And those people come to mind when you ask that question. And you'll say, I'm closing that down. I don't need to pick up on that energy any longer. If the subconscious is over encumbered with connections, it won't make new ones. And you'll push them away. I don't have the space. I don't know. They're cool people, but I don't know. I don't feel like I really want to move forward with them because you're encumbered too much with all these these active connections subconsciously and psychically. So now it's time to do a psychic clearance and start breaking down and pulling all those connections and lines of communication, energetic communications from these people. It's time to unplug them all and allow yourself to be free from any type of feeds. Even people that you love right now, turn off those connections when you're not with them. You don't need to be feeling what they're going through when you're not with them. Okay. And so, you want to make sure you're turning that on and off like a light switch and make sure you're preserving your energy feed. A lot of you guys are very empathetic and intuitive. And so you're allowing that to come through all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time, all the time. It's just constant data, constant information. And when they're thinking something about you, you're getting that too. If someone's worrying about you, you're getting all that worry, more worry, more worry. And especially if you're in a state of worry and someone's worried about you, you're getting more worry. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand that the influence that these connections have and how they are affecting your day to day to day to day to day to day and so forth and so forth. And a lot of you guys wonder, why am I not meeting anybody? Why am I feeling so, tired? Why do I feel drained? That's one of them. Your psychic bonds that you got. It's important to understand this because, in a sense, spiritually speaking, we are all connected. So, but in the physical sense, the separation is an illusion, but we still have to play the game of separation or to really establish our boundaries and establish our voice and perspective in this life, in this physical awareness. Otherwise, you'll be just a continuous void of energy and just a dumping ground for people's energy. A doormat, per se. Does that sound great? Nah, that doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good to me, right? So do that this week and start asking yourself, get into an intentional meditation. Ask yourself, what open connections do I still have with people that I need to close down? Boop, they'll come up. They'll come in your mind's eye. And a lot of you guys are getting that information now as I say this, the names are coming up in your head. Shut them down. And you say, I don't need any connection with them. You affirm, I do not need connection with this individual. I don't need the feed. I don't need to feel them. They don't need to feel me. I have no interest in this communication line. We're closing it. We're shutting it down. So, there's so many different rituals you can do to get your mind on board. You can affirm it. You can do the cord cutting technique, but one thing you are not going to disconnect from is the experience that you had with them. You always want to carry the experience that you've had with these people because they're part of your learning curve. So a lot of times people want to disconnect from them. It's like, no, you're cutting the communication feed down. The experience with them will always remain. And that's important because that's how we thrive. That's how we grow. That's how we learn. So you're just shutting down the communication, the psychic communication, which, are very much psychic bonds. You guys are bound to a lot of people in your lives that just need to go now.